Through the first 3 tournaments of the 1992 LPBT Fall Tour, Australian Carol Giannotti played a dominating role, qualifying for the championship round in 3 straight events. But thus far in 1993, it's a free-for-all. 3 tournaments and 14 different players with a chance to win. Only Marianne DiRupo has survived the pressure of the final 5 on 2 occasions this fall. ESPN and the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour present the championship round finals of the Ebonite Three Rivers Open. Current Rookie of the Year, Marianne DiRupo, in search of her first professional victory, will start from the number 5 position. Her opponent in tonight's opening test, 2-time champion Michelle Mullen of Matteson, Illinois. The winner of that opening match will then face Triple Crown winner Wendy MACPHERSON-PAPANOS from Las Vegas. Starting from the runner-up position, 18-time champion Nikki Giannoulias, who finished 3rd here in Pittsburgh a year ago. And, of course, our top seed after 42 games, Cheryl Daniels, who averaged a whopping 279 on tonight's championship round pair of lanes. Welcome, everyone, to Princess Lanes, located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Good evening, everyone. I'm Denny Schreiner, and if you like to see strikes and astronomical numbers, well, you found the right place here this evening. The championship round pair of 37 and 38 here at Princess Lanes was demolished by our top 5 this week. They averaged 249.8. That's 8 strikes a game. And, of course, throughout her illustrious career, this young lady to my left used to throw a lot of strikes, so she can be familiar with those kind of numbers. But let's talk about the top 5 first and foremost. Our current Rookie of the Year, Marianne DiRupo.
Well, Danny, Marianne is the only repeat player we have seen this fall. She proved how important it is to win those matches. This week, she won 18 out of her 24 match games, and that's what put her in the telecast.
All right, Leila, how about our number 4 qualifier, Michelle Mullen? It's been a year and a half since Michelle has won a title.
Well, Michelle would have a tough road to go tonight, Denny. She'd have to win 4 matches, and the odds are stacked against her. She's 0-5 against the other players.
And one of the players that's really having an outstanding year in terms of consistency, Wendy MACPHERSON, has qualified number 3.
Exactly. Consistent is the word for Wendy MACPHERSON this week. She bounced around in the top 6 all week. She out-averaged the field with a 226 average, and she threw 18 consecutive 200 games in qualifying.
And, of course, she tied the record that you set back in 1984. As I mentioned, she used to throw a lot of strikes. Now, let's move to number 2. Nikki Giannoulias, a year ago, she qualified for the championship round, so she likes this bowling center.
Well, Nikki Giannoulias also likes to bowl on television. She averaged 212 and well over 60 appearances. She also has won the last 6 times she has been in the championship match. She could be the one to beat tonight.
And a lady that would like to win just once this year from the top seed position is Cheryl Daniels. She is 0 for 2 from the number 1 slot this year.
Well, Cheryl Daniels is also a player that can excel when it is her condition. The past 2 weeks, she has failed to even make the top 24, but I asked Cheryl about that, and she told me that she's been bowling well. She proved it this week. She made the telecast in that number 1 position.
And, of course, she qualified for the championship round here a year ago, so she has a lot of confidence coming in. We're ready for the start of match number 1 here from Princess Lanes in the Ebonite Three Rivers Open, featuring Marianne DiRupo and Michelle Mullen. Big crowd on hand. We're finally ready for the start of match number 1, championship round pair, 37 and 38. Michelle Mullen will kick things off this evening.
3-time collegiate All-American. Michelle has recently been working on her game, trying to improve her timing. She said most players have late timing. She said mine was actually early. I was getting the ball into my swing a little too early, and I've been working on that, and things are feeling very good now.
Opens up with a perfect strike on the left-hand lane. And now Marianne DiRupo, the only player to qualify for the championship round twice thus far in the fall.
Well, I asked her about her last appearance in Delaware, and she said, you know, each time I'm learning something, and I'm feeling more and more comfortable with the lights and the lane conditions and what happens when the lights get on the conditioner. And I think she's really gaining the confidence and the experience now.
And with an opening trip of the 4, that has to help her relax the nerves a little bit.
Marianne DiRupo with a 5-step approach. Look how far up she starts for 5 steps. Starts the ball a little above the waist. Gets the ball going in her 2nd swing. Very high backswing. Also a very powerful player, and look how far she ends up from the foul line. Similar to Sandra Jo Shirey, as we saw last week.
Average 253 on this pair of lanes this week, looking for an early double. And she has it. Nice start. Michelle Mullen low on the totem pole here of our top 5 finalists on this pair of lanes, average 221.5. Normally, players would be thrilled to be averaging that kind of a number.
The whole tournament, actually, Denny, was a very high-scoring tournament for the players. It was fairly easy to get to the pocket, but not for Michelle Mullen in the second frame.
Problem now with the 210. Got that ball just a touch right, and it didn't want to quite roll back up the hill.
Very makeable split, Danny. She'll want to hit just left of the 2-pin, send it into the 10-pin. As you can see here, she'll try to place the ball, throw it right into the 10.
Good effort, but the ball slides left of the 2-pin, so Michelle Mullen opens up here in the second frame.
Michelle Mullen starting the ball actually below the waist. Will drop the ball into her swing on her second step. She has a 5-step approach, uses all of the approach. Michelle keeps her shoulders very closed and also her cupped wrist.
Back to live action, and through the nose it goes, the big 4, so it looks like it could be back-to-back opens for Michelle Mullen.
Michelle having a little bit of a underreaction here from her ball on 38. She sends it, it hangs to the right. When she gets in on 37, it hooks a little early. Might want to think about switching to a duller surface ball, moving a little farther left.
8 out for Michelle, back-to-back open frames, and Marianne DiRupo in an excellent position to waltz to a victory here in the opening match. She leads by 46.
That'll calm the nerves early. Marianne's mom came in this afternoon, drove the 6 hours to be here.
Another perfect shot, so she is well on her way at this stage.
You can see there, Marianne's 5'7", 26 years old. Started the Pro Tour a little late, as she's only been on the tour now for 2 years.
Finished 16th in this event a year ago. Still looking for that elusive first professional title. Be a long way to a title here this evening through 4 opponents.
Well, unlike so many other players, Denny, she did not really come up through the collegiate ranks, as we've mentioned before. She did it all on her own.
Locked in right now on this pair of lanes. Michelle Mullen in a bad way at this stage, trailing by 56 to that young lady right there who's done nothing but just pepper the pocket here at Princess Lanes. The championship round finals of the Ebonite Three Rivers Open are being brought to you by Walmart. Always the low price. Always. And by Sports Cream. Fast pain relief and no odor. Michelle Mullen trying to get something started here in the opening match. It's been tough with opens in the second and the third. And after the commercial break, a wall shot. And that's better late than never. As you mentioned, a 3-time All-American and bowled collegiately at the University of Illinois. Also was a Billy Whaley Scholarship Award winner. Outstanding student.
29 years old. Been on the Pro Tour for 7 years now.
Better shot here, and a nice comeback double. So, if not anything else, at least she hasn't given up in this opening match.
I talked to the players while they were practicing, Denny, and the overall consensus was that the lanes were quite a bit tighter, but actually a little bit different even than in the morning rounds. They seemed to hook a little bit more in the center of the lane, yet there was the hang spot, whereas if they threw the ball to the right, it was not going to make it back.
excellent reaction. Had trouble carrying the 10 in practice, but not since we have started this match, as she has thrown 5 consecutive strikes. I had a chance to chat with her and ask her, hey, what do you have to do to win your first title out here?
Well, I feel I'm going to have to execute really good shots and hopefully get some breaks. The field tonight is a really strong field, and hopefully I can execute good shots and get some breaks, and they'll fall into place today.
Hasn't needed any breaks at this point in time because all 5 shots have been almost picture perfect.
You can see there she defeated Michelle Mullen 233 to 203 in match play. There's not too many people Marianne DiRupo did not defeat, as I mentioned in the Open. She went 18 and 6 in match play. Oh!
It caves out the 2 and the 8, and that might have been the break that she was talking about.
Exactly.
Michelle Mullen realizing that she's going to have to put the pedal down quickly here just to stay within eyesight as she trails by 66.
Michelle said she really did feel like she was threading a needle most of the week. She did drill up a ball for last night's round. She was 9th going into last night. The ball she drilled up seemed to open up the lane for her, gave her more area to hit in order to strike, and it moved her from 9th into the telecast.
Right-hand lane seems to be hanging just a little bit. Michelle leaves the washout, changes equipment. Let's see if she can provide a spare. Good run, but doesn't quite get the job done. Michelle, the only Ebonite staff member on the telecast here this evening. She would have loved to have won this one in front of her boss, Bill Supper, the Vice President of Sales for Ebonite.
It's always very special to receive the Ebonite trophy for an Ebonite staffer.
Good reaction on the left-hand lane, so if she could have put the right-hand lane together with that one, she would have been okay. Don't forget, other bowling coming your way, the Greater Detroit Open from Taylor, Michigan, later this evening, beginning at 7:30. We'll be right back. In case you've just joined us, Marianne DiRupo with the first 6 here in the opening game. Pins all over the place, 4-pin stands. Nice opening effort as Mom applauds the 6-bagger.
That looks like a proud face, or a face of a proud mom. Ball coming up just a little bit high with that 4-pin.
Coasting to a victory here in the opening match. Michelle Mullen with opens in the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 6th. Michelle just couldn't quite figure out the pair quickly enough. And it's tough when your opponent starts with the first 6 because it applies a lot of pressure to her.
You have to make those moves quickly. I asked Marianne what happened last week. She did not even make the top 24 after making the telecast in Delaware. Boom, she makes the telecast here. What the yo-yo type bowling, and she said she had not bowled on synthetics too often, and last week gave her a chance to experiment, and she ended up bowling very well her last round, but it was too late. So it really did help coming into this week. They are synthetic that the players are playing on.
It appears as if she's a quick learner. Michelle Mullen trying to strike out and shoot a game around 200. This has been the tough lane for her. The ball has just not reacted quite as well in the back end. Little tighter shot, nice adjustment, excellent strike. I had a chance to talk with Michelle. It's been a year and a half since she won, and I asked her if that was weighing on her mind.
It's something I'm certainly aware of. I've been anxious to get on the show and go for another title. The fact that I made it this week, it being an Ebonite tournament means the world to me, so I'm excited to bowl good tonight.
Well, it's either been feast or famine. 5 strikes, 3 opens. It's either a homer or a strikeout. How about it? Beautiful shot. Well, she probably is thinking to herself, hey, if I had just made the adjustment a little sooner on 38, I don't know that I would have won this opening match, but it certainly would have been a whole lot more competitive.
She would have felt a lot better going home, shooting a bigger game. Yet she still can shoot a respectable 208.
Which would be a great bailout considering where she was about the 6th frame.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, Marianne DiRupo with Plenty of room to shoot 279. We told you the scores could be high, and it looks as if they will be tonight on lanes 37 and 38.
I wasn't sure in watching the players in practice, Denny, but they said the back ends, the last 15 feet of lane, also seemed a little bit tighter.
That was a strike worth a win, so Michelle Mullen will finish 5th here in Pittsburgh. Marianne DiRupo will move on to the next match here in the Ebonite Three Rivers Open when we come back to Pittsburgh. Should be an excellent match here. Wendy McPherson threw lots of strikes during the practice session, and we've already seen Marianne DiRupo label the pocket. An outstanding year thus far for Wendy McPherson. 11 finals out of 12 tournaments. Doesn't get much better than that.
No, she's currently ranked 6th in the point standings, 5th in average.
Playing the extreme inside angle and just can't quite trip out the 4. Good opening offering on lane 37.
We mentioned her 18-game qualifying record, about the 200s. She also only missed shooting 3 200s in the final. So out of 42 games, 39 of them were over 200.
Obviously had the right equipment and the right angles this week at Princess Lanes. A spare up for Wendy McPherson-Papanos, and now let's see if Marianne can pick up where she left off in the opening game.
Lane breakdown, pretty even, 37-38, 4 strikes, 1 spare.
Has to be comforting to a player that realizes they have a pretty good shot on both lanes.
Marianne DiRupo, the 1992 Ebonite Rookie of the Year, was bowling the 1986 Ebonite Rookie of the Year, Wendy McPherson-Papanos.
Little high, 4-pin stands. One of the bright young athletes out here on the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour, Marianne DiRupo, 3-time All-American, softball player from the University of South Carolina.
Very, very consistent year, 1992.
Both players start with a spare of the 4-pin as we take a look at some of the numbers provided this week.
And as I mentioned before, pretty high numbers, 78 in the field.
Boy, he had to average 220 to make it to the telecast. That's a bunch. Re-rack on the left-hand lane for Marianne.
Let's take a look at the rack. Everything appears to be on spot. Marianne did tell me that occasionally she will re-rack for a little extra time.
And don't forget, we've got some great senior golf coming your way. The Mary Mex smiling again. He's won 2 of the last 3. No reason why he won't win 3 out of 4. Coverage coming up on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Back in the pocket again. Yes, she is lined up without question on 37 and 38. And let's see now if Wendy McPherson-Papanos can answer the challenge.
Wendy McPherson having a difficult time winning matches in match play, just the opposite of Marianne DiRupo. She went her first 2 rounds, only winning 6 out of the 16. Last night she said, I won 6 more, but she had the total pinfall, the high pinfall for the 5 television finalists.
Wendy McPherson just trying to fine-tune right now. Both shots pretty good. Both shots just a fraction high, so a little more speed perhaps, or a 1-and-1 move to the left should allow her to hit the pocket. And the first open of the evening for Wendy McPherson-Papanos.
Out of control. And we'll take a look at Wendy's game. She holds the ball approximately waist high. Basic 4-step approach, pushes the ball out on the first step. Her backswing a little higher than shoulder. And you can see how square her shoulders were when she finished up.
Oh my, a Durbin with the 7-pin from time to time. We'll try and eavesdrop in on Wendy. She's wearing a wireless mic.
this could be a very difficult spare conversion. She will try to throw the 3-pin into the 7. The ball's going to have to take out the 6 and the 9. Doesn't do it.
For those of you who aren't familiar with what a Durbin is, of course, it's a Mike Durbin who works with me on the men's side of bowling on ESPN, the 36910. We've affectionately named that a Durbin because he made that the very first time he used it on his average builder. And I've never seen it with the 7 included, so that would even add to the excitement. It'd be a Durbin +1, I guess.
There you go.
Not easy to make.
The Durbin 2.
Yeah, certainly you don't want to leave one either.
Marianne DiRupo concentrating.
Beautiful shot on the right-hand lane, a double up. So in both the games, it's interesting. She has taken advantage of opponents' miscues.
Let's see where Marianne is playing. Right between the 2nd and 3rd arrow, setting the ball around 14 at the arrows. Small swing, maybe out to 12, keeping a very tight line, lots of ball speed. And that little check in the 2nd frame does mean a re-rack. The players are allowed 2 per game. If they would like any additional re-racks, they would consult our tournament director, Paula Vidad. She would then take a look at the rack, and it would be up to her to grant it.
Oh, that ball was left of target. A fortunate break as she threw it through the nose and ended up with just the 10-pin.
Something Marianne has been working on in her game is to make sure she pushes the ball out in front of her instead of down in her push away. When she pushes it down, the ball goes usually left of target. She gets her feet going too fast. Everything is out of time. Something she has been keen on, to push the ball out on her 2nd set.
And there's a close-up look at the LPBT National Tournament Director. Tough job.
A lot of hours.
Down by 32, but certainly not out of this match. This lady can throw strikes with the best of them once she gets started. A little more room on this lane. Light hit cave-in, but just can't quite get the job done.
The youngest woman to win all 3 major championships, the Triple Crown. Wendy did it when she was 22 years old. Those 3 include the WWC Queens, the BPAA US Open, and Samstown.
It's been an amazing year for Wendy McPherson in terms of consistency, and I asked her about that.
I think this year I am having one of my best years. You know, it was my goal at the beginning of this year to make every final, and all but one so far, so I'm very pleased with how I'm doing.
Quiet on the Western Front thus far tonight, though, because she's down by 32. A strike here would help the cause, but certainly another errant shot there in the left-hand lane, and I think she may be a bit confused.
She told me that she's been very confident all year. Good rhythm this week, good confidence this week. She really did not have to make dramatic moves as she crossed the house. A couple boards here and there, and she was locked in. She said, I had the right equipment in my hands, but tonight the lanes, she told me, were different than what she played on. And it's obvious that she is having a little bit more trouble than she had earlier in the week.
Mentioned to me that she was going to have to play quite a bit deeper tonight than she had throughout the week, and she was a little bit concerned about that.
And the deadwood in the channel on the right side will have to be removed.
And while they're doing that, we'll tell you about the Brunswick Open next week from Chippewa Lanes in South Bend, Indiana. All the action begins Tuesday, November 2nd at 11:30 p.m. Central Time. Week number 4 of the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour this fall. Okay, we're ready to go back to action now. Marianne DiRupo leading by 34 in the 5th frame.
Marianne working as an athletic trainer in the off-season. And another clap from her mother. And not distracted at all by the wait to have the dead wood removed. Stays right in line. The ball breaking a little bit high, but trips out the 4 and the 7. She has a nice shot to the pocket.
Double here gives her a commanding lead for the second straight match. Nobody's been able to test her yet.
Well, she's really keeping the ball in play, Denny. She's not trying to loop the ball or really arc it out to the right, so she's not getting in trouble by hitting that hang area where the ball will not come back. She's playing just so direct up the track with that incredible ball speed.
Little practice slide might have either slipped or stuck at the line, but nevertheless ends up with a 10-pin.
Comes back, wipes her shoe.
Practiced plenty of 10 pins, and it paid off. Easy spare. And while we take you to break, we'll take a look at this week's winners of the Pro-Am here at Princess Lanes. If Wendy MACPHERSON-PAPANOS is to have a chance, I think she needs to start right now here in the 6th frame.
And her comments, maybe that time. The ball coming up pretty light, but the head pin off the wall takes out the 4. The 4 takes out the 5. The pin takes out the 7. Still not too late. But she really must have this one here to keep the string alive.
Inside the target line, left of the target, and probably the biggest break of the week as she doubles and cuts into the lead.
And Marianne right now really just wanting to stay clean, keep the ball in play, don't give up any pins. I asked her what the difference was between last year and this year, now that she's really excelling as one of the top players. And she said, you know, I can feel my mistakes this year. Last year I couldn't field them.
Big supporter of bowling there, Bill Supper, the Vice President of Sales for Ebonite International. Not only the women's tour, but the seniors and the touring professionals as well. An aggressive shot there by Marianne DiRupo. So she has done anything but get conservative, I think, here down the stretch, realizing that Wendy MACPHERSON is the type of player that can string some strikes together and create some problems for her.
Well, there's so many times you hear the players on the telecast talk about what they did wrong the week before, and it was not staying aggressive. And this is a key. You must stay aggressive.
Looking for the double. And all of a sudden that lead is back to 34. And don't forget, as soon as we're done here this evening in Pittsburgh, the NBA Today up next on ESPN. Wendy MACPHERSON on a double, down by 34. Time is of the essence.
Winning earlier this year at Samstown in the Las Vegas Western Open. We'll be looking forward to returning there in November.
Trying to fit a shot in, and you could just see her squeezing it a little bit that time. She knew she had to have the strike and maybe trying to get a little bit too perfect.
She'll try to hit left of the 4 pin, slide it into the 10. "25 years old, been a professional for 8 years with 5 national titles. First one I remember coming at the U.S. Open.
When she was an amateur.
When she was an amateur. 1986.
First onto the scene. And she's been a very solid performer ever since.
I know she's very distraught because when you don't have what you had for 42 games and you feel very confident and you know you have the rhythm and you come out and everything's quite different, it's difficult to try to maneuver and change everything.
Those that do are the ones that win. Yeah, when you average 245 on a pair of lanes, come out and have to throw 3 strikes in the 10th frame to shoot 180, it is disappointing. Meanwhile, Marianne DiRupo has maintained pace. She's done nothing but really hit the pocket, only 1 or 2 errant shots in the first 2 games.
I think Marianne's actually overcome the conditioner that's out here. Because she doesn't lose it. She stays very direct. She's not getting in trouble. Solid 9-pin. She can only smile at that.
Well, the good news is she's up by 48 when it happened, so
That's
it's
right.
not like it's the end of the world, but there isn't a professional player worth her or his salt that ever likes to see a solid 9 or a solid 8.
Well, the ball usually taking out the 9, but they drive so hard these days, the resin equipment. Too much ball.
It has been an impressive performance through the first couple of games for the current Rookie of the Year. Gliding to another victory.
We're going to take a look at the ball action on the first ball. The ball normally takes out the 9, but watch the ball keep going left. Completely misses it.
Pre-shot routine remains the same, whether this one's locked in or not. And back into the pocket. So Marianne DiRupo, a winner again in match number 2. When we come back, a couple of special presentations here to a couple of outstanding players. All set now for the start of the semifinal match in the Ebonite Three Rivers Open. Nikki Giannoulias will start off the match. Marianne DiRupo with a couple of solid victories here in the opening 2 matches.
I think this is a reunion, Denny, for Rookie of the Years as well. Nikki Giannoulias in 1979 was the Rookie of the Year. Went on to become the 1982 Bowler of the Year.
And
look at
she
this.
Opens up with a messenger that doesn't quite deliver the final message to the 10-pin. Wiggled a little bit, but it wouldn't fall.
I was going to give it to her. I thought for sure that head pin was going to knock down that 10-pin.
What a wonderful career she has had. 18 career victories. Been the Player of the Year. Been on the Bowlers Journal All-American team several times. It's a great WIBC record. Just keeps rolling along year in and year out. You can just count on her for X number of telecasts. As she also opens the door in the opening frame. Boy, every one of these matches beginning to look like a copy for Marianne. She probably thinks she's still bowling the first match. Everybody's just kind of handing things to her tonight.
Well, she talked about those breaks, and so far she's been given a few. She's definitely bowled well, taken advantage of them, put the pressure on.
Well, she's been the best player of the night, no question about that.
No question.
Trying to get off to another quick start. And a break of her own on the right-hand lane. Ball hooked early, and she was left with the 10-pin.
Again, something she mentioned, making sure she pushes the ball straight out instead of down. It's a problem I have had in my game as well at times when I was working on my push away. The placement of that first step and in the ball placement is very critical to how you end up at the line.
Spare up. Well, she has a very, very quick pivot step. Very unusual. I'll tell you what, you have to be athletic to get to the line the way she is right now.
Well, she really does muscle the ball through, Denny. She uses a lot of her upper body strength. You can see a lot of the softball characteristics in her style of bowling.
See, with her athletic ability and timing and strength, well, I'll tell you what, if I were her coach, I'd move her back on the approach, give her Marshall Holman type style, and I'd let her just get after it and rip it. And she'd probably cross 4 or 5 more boards and throw it a lot heavier than she does now.
She really does not use much of the approach, and she could probably get, like you mentioned,
well, I think she could get velocity, revolutions, open up the lane a little more. But every player has to bowl according to style and personality, too. You know, not everybody could be like Marshall Holman.
Exactly. Marianne started bowling at the age of 7. It's something that has come very natural to her. Her mother managed a bowling center since she was very young. And you mentioned the quick pivot step, Denny. Take a look right here in approximately her third step, 3-4. Very quick.
Very similar, indeed, to the gentleman who won in Rochester last week, Roger Bowker. Exactly same type of style. Roger, very quick pivot step, explodes and jumps into it. Not an easy thing to do, but A nice trip of the 4, and that was a welcomed relief for Nikki G as she strikes in the second.
Well, the messenger did not come through in the first frame, but it sure did here. Not quite sure which pin actually took out the 4. The ball coming up a little bit high. Head pin off the wall hits the 4. And that one takes out the 4.
While we're on the subject of the Rochester Open, that was the gentleman that was defeated in the semifinal game by Roger Bacher, Kelly Kaufman, the twister from Topeka. And I'm going to tell you what, he grips it and rips it just like John Daly, and he had him hooting and hollering in Rochester. He can cover some serious area with a bowling ball.
Well, that's such a big difference between the men professional players, Denny, and the women professional players. And Nikki Giannoulias, 33 years old, 15 years as a professional with 18 national titles.
Best finish thus far in '93, a 4th place finish in the Santa Maria Classic.
And I was mentioning the difference between the men and the women. You have to look at the physical strength, the upper body strength, the size of a hand. They're just automatically going to get more revolutions on a bowling ball, or can create more than a woman can.
Marianne DiRupo with a couple of 10 pins back-to-back steps up in the 3rd. The winner of this match plays for the rights to take on our top seed Cheryl Daniels out of Detroit, Michigan, for the Ebonite Three Rivers Open title and $9,000 in first place prize money.
So far, her career high finish. 3rd place.
And a look at the rest of the numbers here this evening. Well, it would appear at this point in time that a move needs to be made here by Marianne. The lanes have to be drying out a little bit. All 3 of those shots have basically started to hook early. She's either pulling it or she's got to start moving left.
I think she needs to start moving left, Denny. She's been up there a long time.
Yeah. And throwing the ball pretty much in the same area within a board or 2. So it's time to maybe move 1 and 1 or 2 and 2 to the left to see if you can catch a little conditioner there.
And you mentioned those 1 and 1, 2 and 2 moves. These are parallel moves that Marianne told me were critical to her game this week. Last week, she said, I was not moving parallel. I was moving maybe 2 and 1 or 3 and 2. And she said, I have learned now that I need to make more parallel moves with the type of conditions, the type of bowling balls that she is using.
Especially so probably on the synthetic lanes, too.
Exactly, on the synthetics.
Don't forget the PGA Tour coming your way Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and they are shooting some seriously low numbers out there in Las Vegas. The defending champion is John Cook. Excuse me, San Francisco, I should say. At least I was heading in the right direction. All right, there's, I think, a bit of a move. The ball, you can see it set up a little bit better, and a 4-pin tripped out on the left-hand lane.
What we might also see happen, Danny, is the fact that the farther left she moves, the earlier it may hook. Because Wendy McPherson made that comment that when she moved in or set it a little short, the ball seemed to hook a little earlier. So we'll have to wait and see. Nobody's got in that deep yet. See there, she trips out the 4. Definitely moved deeper, though, on that shot, because she was playing right around the 14th board at the arrows.
Well, she may have to move everything right. See what happens in that direction.
Nikki, much deeper. She was in about 17 at the arrows on that shot. The ball going out to about 13.
Consensus from the players in the practice session that they would all probably play a little bit deeper here this evening than they had throughout the week. Not that that's going to create a lot of problems, but it does change the carry angle just a little bit.
And the reason they thought they might play a little farther in is because if they played farther to the right, if they sent the ball right, it would not come back. Their idea was to keep the dry board to the right, move left, try to bump the oil line. If they sent it a little right, it would make it back.
9-pin lead for Marianne DiRupo. This one has kind of settled into a grind out a little bit. We thought we were going to see some pretty high scores, but we did in the first game, and that was about it.
Nikki wanted to mention the fact that she worked with Brian Purcell last week. She had had a little trouble, and he seemed to make some changes or point out some things in her game that benefited her this week. She wanted to thank him immensely.
Good timed up shot there, so she strikes in the 5th. Marianne DiRupo on a strike, and if she doubles here, she leads by 19. See what happens to the ball reaction here in the first 15 feet. Let's see if it hooks a little bit early.
Well, this is also the closest match we've had coming out the gate, Denny. And it's getting a little closer to the championship match, a title.
Arm swing may change a little bit.
A little tighter.
It normally gets that way. Okay, see, she's moved left. Good ball reaction there. All right, she's made the right moves. Now it's just a question of executing again. I think you're right. Just nothing but parallel moves left. Just try and keep everything lined up. She's just a couple of boards deeper.
She's moved left. She was actually able to arc that ball a little bit more to the right. We saw her earlier playing pretty direct. Let's see where she is at the arrows here. Right about 15, a little bit deeper. Keeps the ball out to about 13. Perfect pocket shot.
But see, that ball never thought about hooking early.
No.
See?
She got the ball long through the front part of the lane. One way an amateur can do that is to possibly, or even the professionals, what they do is they start targeting a little bit past the arrows, a little longer down the lane. It gets you setting the ball long.
Excellent shot there. The adjustment has been made. You know, you mentioned moving your target down the lane a little bit. I'll ask you about where you spot, but we showed Kelly COFFMAN there. And I'll have to get back to that story when we return, because we're going to go to commercial right now. A 29-pin lead for Marianne DiRupo. When we come back, we'll talk about targeting on the tour. In the 6th critical stage for Nikki G on a strike. She's got to have this one to maintain pace. And it's 2-4-5.
A little harder. The ball did not make it back.
The players that have circled it tonight have struggled. And this is a shot I think is a little different than what they saw throughout the week.
Well, because if you just get it just that hair wide, and where we're seeing Marianne DiRupo have so much success as she's keeping the ball so much on line, and she's not bellying it only maybe 2 to 3 boards, whereas Nikki does circle the ball even more.
Not an easy cross lane spare. Plenty of conditioner to the left side of the lane. Let's see how she handles it. A little harder, a little straighter, and a beautiful shot. Let me get back to that story about Kelly COFFMAN and targeting. I talked to him last night. This guy hooks it more than any player probably on the professional tour right now. I said, you know, where do you target? He said, I look between 30 and 35 feet down the lane. He said, Danny, if I looked at the arrows and tried to target there, my ball would hook left in 30 feet. He said, everybody's different. Everybody has their own style, but I have to really project my target line a lot further down. Now, what about you? Where do you target?
I usually target a little bit before the arrows, Denny. I want to get the ball into a roll a little sooner because I have a tendency to have a lower track, so I can get the ball long naturally with a lower track. I don't have the big, strong, heavy roll. So if I target early, I can get the ball into a roll sooner.
That's really a good tip for bowlers of all averages throughout the country, that targeting, because you can make the ball go long or hook it a little bit earlier or find something that's right in between. And right now, Marianne DiRupo has targeted this pair of lanes for a couple of victories. She's on a double and leads by 29.
Marianne DiRupo is not feeling too much pressure by the players she is bowling against. As far as their experience, she has performed beautifully tonight.
First shot that we have seen where she threw the ball out the window. It's the first time she's really missed right, and now she's presented with the washout.
I'd like to see a replay of her approach, Denny. I have a feeling she pushed the ball straight down, something she told me was a key, instead of out. Let's take a look. That ball actually did go a little bit farther down instead of straight out. And when that happens, she gets to the line very quickly, and the ball goes out to the right. Trying to hit left of the head pin, send it in. Looks good. Nice conversion.
Obviously, she is as sharp as she can be. Not an easy spare to pick up.
Not at all. How many times have you seen the head pin just wrap the 10 pin, but not this time? Watch the head pin take out the 10 pin perfectly.
I have a feeling before it's over, that will be the key shot of the match. And Open there would have really given Nikki G a chance, and she's on a strike.
And as you mentioned, a look at the scoreboard. 25-pin lead for Marianne DiRupo.
Anything can happen in this match, though, especially if she doesn't strike here and Nikki throws a double.
Nikki could go to the wall for 228.
Which would be plenty enough to win unless Marianne really performed down the stretch.
Marianne still, I was going to say still was fishing a little bit, but...
No, I think she's got the right idea now. She knows, I think the best thing that you can possibly have as a pro player is to know that you have the right ball, the right angle, and you've got the right position. All you have to do is make the shots. If you make the shots, you get a good result.
And she mentioned, and she used the very word execute. If she executed tonight, then she could do it. I was talking to Nikki Giannoulias last night, and I was very interested to hear that she really has a different perspective of bowling. I've known Nikki for well over 15 years. Really, I've known her since we were probably about 18 years. And her father became very ill this past spring. She had to withdraw from the Queen's tournament to fly home. She took care of him most of the summer, and he is much better now. He's definitely on the road to recovery. And she said, but it just opened my eyes to there are other things than just competing in bowling.
Kind of brings it all into perspective. Those 4 pins and 10 pins aren't nearly as critical. That was an excellent shot. Couldn't trip out the 4. Had a chance to talk to her and ask her about the game that she shot last year on this pair of lanes. It wasn't particularly good, but were you thinking about that or this year?
I think, you know, the conditions a lot different this year than it was last year, and scoring, I think, was better this year. So I think on the show you're going to see higher scoring than you did last year.
See, so it's not just us. They also believe that they were going to throw a lot of strikes tonight. Sometimes it just doesn't work out that way, although Cheryl Daniels still waiting in the wings, and she's an explosive type player. If there's any hope whatsoever, Nikki G has to strike here in the 9th. That's left.
We saw Wendy McPherson do that last game and get the break. Very similar games, Nikki and Wendy, as far as their circling the ball.
One of the co-proprietors here at Princess Lanes. Boy, they've done just a sensational job. This is really a beautiful little 44, I shouldn't say little, 44-lane center, but it's kind of nestled into a neighborhood here in Pittsburgh, and it has a very friendly atmosphere. You just get that feeling that everybody from the neighborhood's coming down to play.
Exactly, the surrounding neighborhood. You drive to get to the bowl, all decorated with Halloween decorations. It's very quaint. Very beautiful. 26-pin
lead, and Marianne DiRupo can hang Nikki Giannoulias out to dry here if she strikes in the 9th frame. Threw it a little wide the last time, a little tighter angle here, and tripping out the 4. Boy, I'll tell you what, you start tripping out the 4 from that spot, and you're in a good position. The other half of the brain trust here at Princess Lanes. Wonderful proprietors. I think they have really grown attached to having the ladies here in Pittsburgh, and hopefully they will have them here for many years to come.
The women are always so glad to be able to go back to the centers, and it's nice to have so much hospitality shown to us.
Excellent shot. 10-pin stands, but this one is out of the wood, as they say. Marianne DiRupo will move on to face Cheryl Daniels. You saw that sigh of relief when she struck in the 9th. I think at that point in time she realized, hey, I'm going to get a chance now to bowl for my first professional title. And she will have her hands full in Cheryl Daniels.
But Cheryl Daniels is a player that actually does like to circle it a little more, too. I've seen her go more direct, so it's going to be interesting to see what she's going to do, how she's going to play this pair lane.
You know, I watched her practice, and she did that. She circled a number of shots from different spots on the lanes, and then I watched her throw it a little straighter and try and go up and at it. So I think you're right. I think Cheryl's got a couple of different game plans, which I think you need to have if you're going to be successful in the championship round. And we'll just have to see whether or not she can perform. I think she's going to have to bowl a pretty good game to win, because Marianne DiRupo has marched right through the field with a game of 221. When we come back, I'll look at some of the key shots this evening on our championship frame. All right, a bit of strategy. The top seed, Cheryl Daniels, utilizing that position, saying, okay, Marianne, you're going to start first and finish last. Put a little heat on you in the 10th frame.
That's right. If it all comes down to who has to strike for the title, it'll be up to Marianne DiRupo. You can see a lane breakdown. Lane 37, 10 strike. Lane 38, 9 strikes. Ironically enough, we found out Marianne DiRupo is playing lane 37 now. She's standing 10 boards deeper, 10 boards to the left of where she's playing 38. So that lane is hooking much earlier. Whatever
Excellent
she's doing.
move. Good strike on the left-hand lane. Now Cheryl Daniels will have to try and match pace right here. And I think she's going to have to let Marianne know very early on in this match that she can throw some strikes.
Very important for Cheryl to get an upper hand here. She has not won the last 2 times she has been in the championship match. She hits the pocket, little soft, 10-pin stance.
As we mentioned, we were wondering just what type of shot that she would try and employ here on the championship round pair. The players that have swung the ball tonight have all made early exits.
Well, Cheryl is a player who is very versatile in her hand positions. She's constantly changing them to do whatever it takes. Another very physical player. A look at Cheryl's game. She stands very, very close to the ball return on this lane, plus she does not use much of the approach. Pushes the ball very low, has not got much of a backswing. Well, a little bit high, but she's very quick, very powerful in her swing.
Great shot on the left-hand lane, so Cheryl Daniels comes back with a strike in the second.
Cheryl Daniels wanted me to mention before we get too far into this match, she's thinking about her cousin Camille, and her husband Gary just gave birth to premature twin daughters. And Cheryl's thoughts and prayers are with the twins.
For the double. Looking like a player that's hungry for a title.
And maybe all that athletic training with the softball teams in that competition is paying off right now. But she got a big break here, Denny. That ball hooked a little too early, but she tripped out the 4 and the 7. The velocity, I think, carried the pin.
She's got plenty of that. That's why I said I think, you know, if she could change it a little bit, but I think she could really open up a lane. We'll see what she does. Right now, trying to go with Old Faithful to win her first title.
You have to do what comes natural.
Well, you have to get the most out of your potential, too.
All right.
Stood up on it, and the ball held pocket. Ooh, when she looks back at this title game, she will remember that shot affectionately.
And I remember Freddie Borden, coach, Team USA coach, told me if you are tripping those 4 pins, then you are going to be the winner.
It's a big edge. Cheryl Daniels trying to bounce back. Tight line, lots of velocity. Another 10-pin. Couple of good shots on that right-hand lane. And for Cheryl now, she has to put out of her mind that her opponent has the first 3 and just get her job done.
And the key there, you said tight line, and she is trying to play it a little more direct, a little straighter, and she just wraps the 10.
6-pin just ripped around the 10. That was a very good shot. Yeah, I think she's gone with a little more velocity.
And
little handiwork right there.
Cheryl cleaning the approach. It's probably a little tacky as she slid her foot there. This is where she stands to shoot her 10-pin. Do not want to give anything away, but she does.
Obviously bothered by the approach. A miss. Marianne DiRupo right now in the driver's seat.
And we talked about that, Denny. If Marianne DiRupo would get the upper hand, it would relax her going for her first title.
Or wouldn't this be something? On successive shows, a double bouncer. Through the nose and a strike. Worst shot of the week by Cheryl Daniels. And she strikes. That's how crazy this game is. She throws a great shot on 38, leaves a solid 10, then double bounces it and strikes on lane 37.
Cheryl Daniels talking to Paula Vidal, telling her the problem that she is having on the approach. Marianne DiRupo right now just trying to stay focused on her own game. It's going to be very important for her not to be disturbed by what is going on with Cheryl. Try to block it out of her mind.
An aggressive shot. Back in the pocket, 10-pin.
And I know just from being in that title match a time or two, you want those pins to go down on that first ball so bad, so you don't have to shoot these 10 pins.
Now let's see if she has any problem with the approach. Of course, every player's shoes are different. The bottom of those shoes, everybody reacts differently.
There are so many different soles that players use these days. Like you said, they react differently. It does not appear that she's having any problem.
A 32-pin lead really has not been tested this evening. Nikki G gave her a bit of a tussle in the semifinal, but other than that, the coast has been clear for Marianne DiRupo, who opts for a re-rack on the left-hand lane.
Well, what Marianne did also, Denny, was she made the move. She saw that it was not just her. She said, these lanes are breaking down. The condition is changing. And she told me this is what she learned from Delaware.
The other advantage, too, I don't care what you say, once you win a game in the championship round, you get a little bit looser, and it does give you an opportunity to throw that many more shots on the pair of lanes and fine-tune it. It's just more attempts, and you get a better feel for the pair. Boy, she is just working this pair of lanes right now to perfection. Great shot for Marianne DiRupo, leading by 31.
See how deep she's playing that line. A nice fallback shot. Perfect ball reaction.
Couldn't ask for anything more, and you couldn't ask for anything more from one of the top radio broadcasters in the country. In terms of bowling, this guy, the Big D, Dan Gluss, does it all here in Pittsburgh. Yeah. A quick look here at a cleanup job. Perhaps it was a little bit tacky or a little slippery. We're not quite sure which way.
I really think the spray he's using, Denny, and knowing what's going on here, it was tacky.
Okay.
It's called an approach cleaner.
Synthetics sometimes present little problems like that. Cheryl trying to come back from behind, light hit, and she finally carries the 10. So a seasoned pro, she's going to take each and every one of these shots for the rest of this game and try and make them the best shots of the week.
A replay of the last shot. Beautiful pocket hit, swishes the rack, dices the 5.
Trying to come back now and throw one more and cut it to 11. This is a big shot through the nose. Boy, she stretched out. She thought she might have been able to hold pocket there.
She moved left, but lane 37 has really been the lane that gave all the players a problem. We saw Nikki Giannoulias go Brooklyn on that lane. We saw Wendy McPherson go Brooklyn. We found out that Marianne DiRupo is standing 10 boards left of lane 38. That ball definitely hooks sooner on the lane than 38.
And for the players who swung it on 38, the ball hung a little bit. So this was an interesting pair of lanes tonight. I think Marianne, playing a little more direct with a little more velocity, overcame the difference in the two lanes.
She also had the extra shots, Denny. She won the matches maybe in the 8th frame. She got a chance to go ahead and take that giant step left and just see what the ball was going to do.
Well, this was a pair of lanes that changed dramatically as the championship round went on, and you were changing on the fly. It's tough for a top seed to throw some practice shots, walk back an hour later, and then try and see what a pair of lanes is going to do. DiRupo again with plenty of speed, but this one rides high, and again, another fortunate break as she kicks out the 3 and is left with just the 6 and the 10 and continues to lead in the title match by 23.
That's where television experience really plays a part, Denny, is just realizing how fast the lanes the conditioner can break down with the lights. They're going to absorb the conditioner that much faster.
I think what the players are always asking themselves is, you know, did I make a good shot and do I need to move, or did I not make quite that good a shot and do I have to move? You're always constantly fighting that battle, I think, mentally.
You are, and with only 10 frames, and
it goes by too quick.
Your opponent gets the jump on you, that goes by very quickly.
And then sometimes you make an over move because you know you have to throw a strike, and that's usually when you throw it through the nose. Seventh frame action. Marianne DiRupo trying to break into the winner's circle. She's already won 3 matches tonight. Uh-oh, this is trouble. Oh, see? Cheryl Daniels is already saying to herself, you know, sometimes it's just meant to be the other way.
I think these last 2 shots, Denny, were just really Marianne DiRupo not making good shots. The lanes in 2 frames. She was locked in through the first 4. You know, those 2 frames, I don't think it was the conditioner. I think she's getting a little tight. She's getting a little closer to that title.
Cheryl Daniels, eyebrows raised, appreciative of the break on the right-hand lane. If she strikes here, it's back to 13.
Now, 37 was the lane that gave her a bit of a problem last time. She's going to definitely have to move left, get in deeper. And she does.
Ooh, that's interesting. See what happens. 2-4-5 with the 7. See, there you go. She made the move. A little more loft, tried to delay it. That's the difference. Difference in the roll, difference in the way you're playing the lanes.
The ball skidded just a little too far. Well, the difference, too, of these players, and we've talked about it earlier this evening, the velocity that Marianne DiRupo has. She could be playing lane 37 exactly like Cheryl. What's going to happen? Cheryl's ball's going to hook through the nose. Marianne DiRupo's is going to hold pocket.
Critical mistake. 2-4-5 off the 7. And for Marianne DiRupo, this is it. She's on a strike. If she X's here in the 8th frame, she's going to be looking at a big-time check and a trophy here in the next few minutes. Cheryl Daniels now could only shoot 204. Gave it room. 2-pin. Nearly toppled, but I'll tell you what, gutsy shot, did not tug it left.
And a slight smile. Let's see how far she threw that right. Well, 14, the ball hit about 11. Tries to trip out the 2, but left herself with a easy spare conversion.
Spare here would maintain a 2-teen pace, which is more than enough to capture title number 1.
And Cheryl can only shoot 204. And Mike Martino from the American Chiropractic Association Sports Council organized 10 doctors to be on hand all during the competition this week. They were here every minute of play. What a wonderful group of doctors they had here. And every week there are chiropractors on hand. It's a very grueling sport. Can wear on you. I know Nikki Giannoulias had a pinched nerve problem that they took care of for her.
Tight shot there. Another break through the nose. 3-6-10. I have a feeling right now that Marianne is leaking a little oil. Coming down the stretch, Mom can't even bear to watch anymore, and I can't blame her. That's when the mouth starts getting a little dry. Butterflies start flopping around, and all you're trying to do is knock them down.
I can bet her knees are shaking a little bit here.
Fortunate break. Off the approach. Okay, I got my spare in the ninth, and I'll take my chances.
Well, this is what we talked about, Denny. Well, this is the look, first of all, at the spare conversion. Just hits the 3, the 6 hits the 10. If Cheryl Daniels could strike out, the pressure is going to be on Marianne DiRupo for the title. But Cheryl Daniels was not able to put the pressure on.
Looked like Cheryl bowled really a pretty solid game. The only problem she had was when she missed the 10-pin. Other than that, around the pocket pretty much until the 8th frame, and Marianne realizing that the time has come. She has seized the day and will enter the LPBT winner's circle.
She told me she has watched the pros since she was very young. She wanted to be on the tour. She wanted to win a title. She watched Lisa Wagner dominate in the 80s. She said, I idolized her. Now I'm actually out here competing. She's won her first title. It's a wonderful feeling.
Break's coming too late now for Cheryl Daniels, who, disappointingly enough, will go 0 for 3 from the top seed position. If you've never come out, worked your tail off, led a tournament for 42 games, and then lost it on national television, you have no idea what that does to you just once, let alone 3 times in a season. Right now, she could be bowling for Bowler of the Year, Leila Wagner.
You're right. 3 wins, and she would have more than 3 second-place finishes. And like you mentioned, Bowler of the Year.
You're not kidding.
Nobody is dominating here in the fall right now. Anne-Marie Dugan still has the leads from the first part of the year.
Tears of joy will be streaming down here momentarily. Marianne DiRupo, the winner of the Ebonite Three Rivers Open. Cheryl Daniels with a game effort. Just didn't quite work out for CD here tonight. Now it's time for a victory lap. Oh, this is a sweet shot right here when you know all you have to do is finish it up. Mom obviously excited as well, and the DiRupo clan from New Jersey will be having some fun later on tonight. The championship round finals of the Ebonite Three Rivers Open are being brought to you by Bud Light. If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light. And by Filtrete Clean Air Filters from 3M. Final score, 250 to 184. Marianne DiRupo, the winner, her first title, and Nick MERTES, the general manager, has a wonderful trophy.
Marianne, you had a great tournament. You're a great champion. Congratulations.
Can you handle that?
Oh, my.
All right, before we get any further, Bill Supper, Vice President of Ebonite, has a great check for you as well.
Marianne, on behalf of Ebonite, I'd like to congratulate you on your first LPBT championship, and here's a check for $9,000. Congratulations.
Quickly.
I just want to say thank you to the crowd and the fans, and especially the manager here, and the staff did a wonderful job. And this is a great place to win my first title. I love it here, and thanks to my mom and my roommate. Thank you.
So long, everybody. Next week, the LPBT Tour heads to Chippewa Lanes, located in South Bend, Indiana, for the championship round finals of the Brunswick Open, beginning at 11:30 p.m. Central Time, Tuesday, November 2nd, on ESPN. And coming up next on ESPN, the NBA Today.